I want to welcome you to the Pro Mindset Podcast. The Pro Mindset Podcast is all about diving into the headspace that results in championship performance. High-performing athletes, winners, have this mental flow and have a positive headspace for their performances and success. Join me, Craig Domann, sports attorney and NFL agent, on this podcast. I will interview pro athletes, college athletes, football coaches, and sports personalities. Together, we can discover how you can get in the flow and have your own pro mindset. And Bob, I want to welcome you to the show and just kind of, why don't you share for the audience, what is your identity now that you've, coached for maybe 40 years plus?
47, to be exact. I coached high school football, and then my first college job was at Brown University, which is in Providence, Rhode Island. And then I was a director of a department in the school system, and I hated it because we spent money based on whether we were Republican or a Democrat. That wasn't the best interest of the kids. You know what I mean? So one day, the defensive coordinator, Bob Wylie, came in and said, "Hey, what's the problem?" I said, "I hate this job." He said, "You want to try coaching in college? People tell you that, and then you never hear from them again." Well, he had a buddy that was the head coach at Brown University, and in May of that year, the guy called me up. I don't know if I'd be interested. I came down for the interview. He offered me a job. The job paid $4,000, and so I didn't know what to do. Right? I said, "Well, I want to coach football in college, but I don't know how am I going to get this done." So I called up my dad, and I said, "Can we have lunch?" So I have lunch with my dad. And I told him my problem. I said, "I'm going to go coach at Brown. The job only pays $4,000. I said, I got a wife, I got a new baby, I got a house, I got a car, And he looked at me and he goes, "What's your problem?" I said, "I just told you my problem." He said, "No, you want to go coach? You go coach." He said, "I raised my kids. Don't be afraid to fail." You know what I mean? And so that's how I just did it. I quit my job, went to Brown University, took the job, right? And the next year I got hired full-time, and then I went from Brown University to Holy Cross College. And then from Holy Cross College, I went to the University of Ohio University, OU. And then from OU, I ended up at Colorado State. And then from Colorado State, right, I ended up with the Bengals, and then went from the Bengals to the Jets, to the Tampa Bay, back to the Bengals, to the Bears, to the Cardinals, I was at the Broncos, I was at the Raiders, and most recently, at the Browns. So I've been from coast to coast.
Well, let's go back to 2018 season, and you're the offensive line coach for the Cleveland Browns, and they're coming off a 1-31, I believe it was, 2 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. Hard Knocks decided to show up in Cleveland, Ohio, and you became one of the stars of Hard Knocks. Why don't you share for the audience what kind of experience it was to have the video crew, TV crew, and people invading your meeting rooms, your practice fields, locker rooms, all that type of thing?
Well, if you've never, a lot of people, if you've never been involved in that situation, I didn't put on any acts. All that stuff that you saw, that they did about me, if they would have put a mic on me 20 years ago, it would have been the same thing. I didn't change my coaching style because they were there. That's just me speaking. People think, "Oh, he's put on a show." No, that was just me. What they do is they come in and they're very professional. They really are. It's one of the most professional organizations that I've ever dealt with. So they come in, okay, and they put cameras wherever they need to put cameras in the building. In your meeting rooms and the staff meeting rooms and the head coach's office. That's all done when we're on vacation. They rewire the buildings, they put the cameras in, they do the whole thing. Okay, so you're walking around and it's not like somebody's following you, right? It's all done with cameras that are around the walls and stuff. And somebody's, they may be following you with that camera, but there's nobody with a handheld deal. Now sometimes there is, but most of the time it's stuff that's taken from cameras that they've mounted around the facility, and then so many cameras on the field. Well, then every day they come in and then they pick a number of coaches that they're going to mic. And so they mic you up and then you go to practice. And half the time you don't, you forget that you're mic. You're just coaching. I never changed anyway. That didn't make any difference. So I went on the field and they were really good about, they stay away from the drills, right? They make it the cameras and their boom mics and stuff, and they get close to you that way, okay? And really, they, after a while, you forget they're there. You don't even realize that they're there. You know, I really enjoyed working with them. They were really professional, and I still stay in touch with them, you know, now.
Well, let's talk about the Browns season last year. That was a big turnaround year. Baker Mayfield looks like he's going to be the franchise quarterback for the foreseeable future. How did the season go for you guys? Because obviously when Hue got fired, you weren't winning, and then you started winning after that. Just kind of describe, how was it as a coach, being in the building, you know, being on the team playing, being on the sidelines during the games, coaching the players?
Well, as a professional football coach, or as any coach, you've got a job to do. You know what I mean? Do your job. Whatever your job is, do your job. And you can't let the drama or the distractions of what's going on around you affect what you're doing. Okay, and that's a tough thing to do, because there's always distractions and things that'll take you away or try to take you away from doing what you're supposed to do. That was the number one thing. So when they fired the head coach and they fired the coordinator, and realistically, because of the interactions between those two guys, and that stuff filters down through the coaches and the players see that, they feel it. When that distraction was lifted and gone, the whole team became very relaxed. It was more of a relaxed atmosphere. They weren't worried about guys, you know, jumping on them for every little single thing that they played more relaxed, and they played harder, and they played faster, and they did that job. So as a coach, the room became more manageable. I don't say it wasn't manageable before that, but the room itself became more relaxed, okay? Not that my rooms are very tight anyway, but it became more relaxed. And you can tell on the sideline during the games, as we went through game to game and team to team, right, the kids got more confidence. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't in the beginning of the year, because in the beginning of the year, we lost some games, but the nature of how we lost the games, if we had a field goal kicker and 3 field goals, okay, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Okay, so because we lost the Raider game, we lost the first Pittsburgh game, and we lost the Saints game. You know what I mean? And by field goals, it was amazing. You know what I mean? 3 more wins, and then we're a playoff team. But the coaching itself, keeping the players in line and working through it, became easier with the less distractions that we had now. You know, Freddie did a good job about keeping it really light. Okay, even though we practiced on and you hop on the penalties and you do the things that you need to do as a coach, the atmosphere itself was a little more loose. Okay, which was good for the players and the coaches.
You've been coaching, as you said, for 47 years, and most of those years have been in the NFL. How tough is it for a rookie quarterback, especially today, to come in and take over? I mean, obviously this year there was 3 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Arizona apparently is going to start their guy from the jump. But how difficult is it for a young quarterback to come in as a rookie, get acclimated, take control of the offense, take control of the huddle, and be the face of the franchise all at the same time?
He has to prove himself to the other guys that are standing in the huddle. You know what I mean? And he will do more work, the really great ones, okay, with studying, understanding the defense, understanding what the defense can do to you in certain situations, understanding what tools you have at your hand that you can get yourself out of difficult situations on the field, okay? And they haven't been through the process of being in all the situations they need to be in order to become elite quarterbacks, okay? Now, just to become starters, it depends on how much they can handle mentally, as well as taking it from the blackboard to the field. You know, Coach Paul Brown used to say, you got to take it from the chalkboard to the grass. They have a lot of work to do. They do more work probably than a lot of the other players, because it's the nature of the position. You know, so in where they come from, it's going to be different because where they may see 3 or 4 different coverages in one game, they may see 11 different coverages in a pro game or even more. You know what I mean? They may see some of the most exotic blitzes that's known to man. You know what I mean? At the pro level that they may not see in college, depending on what level they played at. All right. So they're getting ready to play the game. Okay, as a first-year quarterback. Most of it's going to do with their mental process and the communication that they have, with their coaches. Okay, understanding the playbook, understanding the defense they're playing against. Okay, and then they got to get the guys that they stand in the huddle with to believe. They got to believe, okay, that this kid that's standing there, okay, is going to get the job done. Okay, because everything starts with that guy. You know what I mean? You don't have one of those guys. There's a real good chance that you're not going to get where you want to go. Okay, now the Browns, they got Baker. I think Baker's a wonderful. He plays with an edge. He's a gunslinger. He's a really good quarterback that you would like to be in and mixed with because he's a fighter. You know what I mean? And when he gets in the huddle, those guys like playing for him. You know what I mean? That's how it all started in the Jet game last year. You know what I mean? We put Baker in because the first quarterback got hurt. You know what I mean? He goes on the field, and the judge said, these are the guys that say, hey, Mayfield, hey, Baker, hey, we're going to come after you. We're going to come and get you, rookie. We're going to come and get you. And Baker looked at them. And Baker said, I don't even know who you are. Right? And left guard, Joe Patonio, they come off the field, and he's laughing. And I'm saying, what happened? What happened? He told me the story, what Baker said. Right? And Joe said, when he said that, right, I said to myself, that's our guy. That's our guy. That's the kind of guy that we like to block and play for. That kind of guy, because he makes you believe. And he's going to make plays. He's going to do that. You know what I mean? Now, he may make some mistakes because he hasn't seen everything yet. That's going to happen. But you want to live with those things. He'll get better. A lot of the young quarterbacks, when they step in the huddle, the guys that are playing that huddle have to believe that you're going to get it done. You know what I mean? Now, as coaches, right, how much do you give the guy? How much can he handle? You know what I mean? That's one of the main things, with protections in the run game, the checks, all that stuff. How much can the quarterback handle, okay, and get it done on the field? If you can't handle a lot, don't give him a lot. Give him as much as you can hold, okay, without making any mental assignment breakdowns or turning the ball over. Okay, young quarterbacks coming out, when they first get here, it's a lot different than they think it is.
Okay, Coach, hang on a second. Let's say there's a young quarterback out there that is getting ready for the 2020 draft and he gets drafted. Doesn't matter where, first pick, last pick, or anywhere in between. What is the thing that he's going to see in the NFL that he doesn't think he's going to see no matter how much he prepares?
Okay, the blitz packages. Okay, the coverage packages. He's going to see the back end of the defense. He's going to know what the front does by the alignment, but he's going to see the back end of the defense, and he has to know it inside out. He's going to know when he sees this look right here, where the ball's going to go, where the ball's going to get out. He can't stand back there and tap the ball twice. So his mechanics of getting rid of the ball, right, his ability to understand the coverages and where the ball has to go, right, has to be really good. Right? And if you're a young quarterback coming out, those are the things, the release of the football, your drop spot, where your drop spot's going to be. How fast is the ball coming out? Is it a 3, 5, 7-step drop? Is it a one-action pass? Is it a play-action pass? Okay, those are all the things that he needs to understand really well. The run game, if they're running the RPOs, he probably ran some of those in college. You understand that stuff, okay? But the true drop-back passing game, and especially when it gets to third down, and he's going to see some looks that he ain't never seen before. Okay, and he's going to learn where the ball has to go and how fast the ball has to get there. So his ability to process the information that he sees with his eyes has to be really good. So if I'm a young quarterback, I'm going to start with trying to understand all the different puts, all the protections. Okay, they're going to be 5-man protections. There are going to be 6-man protections. There are going to be 7-man protections. There's going to be 8-man protections, maximum protections, okay? And he has to understand, because every protection is going to have a weakness. And that kid has to understand where the weakness is in the protection. And if the defense exploits that weakness, where the ball has to go. And if he doesn't have it, where's the second spot that the ball has to go? And then get rid of it, throw it away. Get rid of the ball. No, you don't want to have him take sacks, okay? But some sacks are necessary. Some are smart sacks, okay? Rather than turn the ball over. Getting rid of the football and understanding the mental side of the game against the defense, okay, that's really what a young quarterback should be looking at.
Okay, Coach, so being an offensive line coach and working in the blitz world, the protection world, let's just take 5-man protection. It's 3x1, 2x2, and you got a back or it's empty, but it's 5-man protection. What is the solution for the quarterback? What's his go-to when they're bringing 6 or 7?
In 5-man protections, okay, when we look out there as an offensive line, right, we like the backs to be empty or set them out, the back, and then bring them back into the backfield, because it gives us a better chance to see, because we tell everybody, hey, you guys need to find the safeties when you come into the line of scrimmage, because they're going to tell you everything that's going to happen in the front. So when we come to the line of scrimmage, right, we're looking for the safeties. And we find the safeties, and we find the nearest backer to our side, and then we find the nearest down lineman, and we create a triangle in our minds, and what that triangle looks like is going to tell us what's going to happen in the front. So 6-man protections, we know, right, and the quarterback knows, right, that it's going to take one for him to throw the ball quickly. Okay, so they're going to bring 5, and that extra guy that's coming, the 6th guy, we can't block. He's going to have to handle that guy. Now, the offensive line, there's all different ways we can do that. We come to the line of scrimmage and we point the mic, okay? We say, okay, we're going to go to that guy. And the quarterback may come and say, no, I don't need you guys to go to this guy because of what they see in coverage. We all need to be on the same page with the quarterback. The offensive line and the quarterback have to be exactly on the same page to know where we're going, to know the weakness in the 5-man protection. Okay? Then he has to understand how fast he needs to get the ball. Now, we're saying that in 5-man protections, if it's, let's say it's anywhere from 4 to 6 yards, okay, so it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, that when they blitz, he can get rid of the ball before they get to him. Because he's in the gun most of the time. Very few quarterbacks now in 5-man protection are sitting under the center. So he'd be back in the gun, right? So he has to know the weakness of the protection and then where he needs to go with the ball. We're going to direct the line, the offensive line, we're going to direct it to what we think is coming, okay, by film study, by whatever knowledge that we have on the team or the defensive coordinator. And we're saying, hey, we're going to direct the line this way. So we may go 3 for 3 on one side and then 2 for 3 on the other side, or bring the center back the other way. You know what I mean? Those are all the things that the quarterback has to understand what the line is doing. And the quarterback and the line, that's a communication that they have to be on the same page. We can't be thinking, hey, we're going here, and the quarterback thinks we're going the other way, and now you're going to have a problem. We like 5-man protections, but we like them in certain situations. We don't really want to go 5-man protections at 3rd and 12, and we're in some type of 5-man protection. Okay, and then the defensive coordinator tries to blitz, okay, because now the quarterback, he needs to go with the ball. He needs to get the ball someplace in that situation. If they decide to blitz and it's 3rd and 12 and we're in a 5-man protection. Say we have to squeeze the right side of the line, okay, because they're bringing somebody on the left. So we have to slide to the left, and then they bring the inside linebacker to the right. Okay, so now we got to squeeze that side. Now the defensive end is running at the quarterback, and it's 3rd and 12. Not a good, comfortable situation to be in.
Great way to get your quarterback killed.
Right. So all of that stuff has to be taking in when you're building the protection and you're building it with the routes, okay, and the quarterbacks when he has hots and sights, okay, that all has to be built together. Okay, the best thing that I think that we did, okay, when I was at the Browns and a lot of other places, is we have a protection meeting, okay, on Tuesdays, which is a game plan day, and we bring the quarterbacks in with the centers, okay, and we sit down and we show them the blitz tape of the blitzes that we think are going to be a problem for us, okay, and then how we're going to handle these blitzes so that the quarterback, right, and the centers are on the same page when they see that on the field. So we get that put together as fast as we can and try to get it to the quarterbacks on Tuesday and say, okay, guys, right, this is what they're doing, and we need to be on the same page. Now, during the week, the quarterbacks and the centers are always talking to each other. Okay, if we see this, we're going to handle it this way. And the quarterback will say, well, I'd like to handle it this way, but this side. So they will work it out. They'll figure it out, okay? But we give it to them on a Tuesday. And I think it's one of the best things that we've done as coaches. And then a lot of times during the week, before the coaches even get there, the quarterbacks and the centers will meet by themselves. Like they'll come into the offensive line room, and they'll sit down, right, and they'll put the blitz tape on, and they'll go over the blitzes by themselves. To make sure that they're not going to miss anything. The second half of the season, somebody said we gave up 3 sacks or 5 sacks. We had the least amount of hits on the quarterback. Okay, I think that went mostly through the whole season.
So let's talk about the blitz tape. If you were going to group, obviously Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and there's a few D coordinators out there that, get very creative in their blitzes. How many different blitz concepts are there?
Oh, my God. How are they going to bring the corner? Are they going to bring the will and the free safety? They're going to bring the strong safety and the strong corner. You know what I mean? Are they going to bring both safety? I mean, it is a lot of, I know that some teams like to get into a 4-2 structured defense and walk up both linebackers and both A-gaps, and now you got to decide, okay, how are we going to handle this if we got a 5-man protection? How are we going to handle this if we got a 6-man protection? Is it a team that likes to only blitz from the field, or are they a boundary blitz team? Okay, that all has to be figured into it. Are they a team? Do they like to bring one linebacker more than the other linebacker? I myself personally, would have been right or wrong, I like to get the percentage of the times the guy comes. Don't tell me the number of times. Just give me the percentage. Okay, so we get in this formation at this part of the field, right, and they get in this defense. I want to know the percentage of the times that the Sam comes, the percentage of the time the Mike comes, and the percentage of the time that the Will comes. Give me those percentages. Is it 80%, 60%, 50%, 40%? Like the Will linebacker. If the Will linebacker comes 2% of the time, don't worry about that, okay? Worry about the linebacker that's coming 43% of the time, okay? How are we going to handle that son of a gun? Okay, worry about the linebacker that's coming 51% of the time. Every other snap he's coming. Okay, how are we going to handle that thing? Well, we put them together by secondary blitzes. How many times are they going to send guys, okay, that are more than we can block? 0 blitz concepts. Right, how many times is that going to happen? Okay, say it happened 2 a game. Well, we're going to have a plan for it, but we're not going to bust our head all week long because they ran that thing twice, okay? But now, say they run Mike Sam Fire Zone, okay, and they ran it, just picking a number, they ran it 12, 14 times a game. You better have an answer for it. So if that's their favorite blitz, we need to work on that one. We don't need the one, like Coach Brown used to say, don't get beat by the onesies. Don't get beat by the one thing they do one time. When they got at Baltimore last year, the last game of the season, versus the Browns, okay, it's 1st and 10 on the 41-yard line going in, okay, Baltimore needs to have, they got to have it. They got to have it. What was their blitz concepts? Well, you need to know that as an offense. What's the got to have it thing that defensive coordinator is going to go to? And you're going to be ready to handle it. Because every defense has a got to have it. Just like on offense, you got a 4th down, it's 4th and 1, it's 4th and 2, and you got to have it. Okay, well, that play has already been discussed and it's on the game plan. Okay, if we get into the situation, that's what we're calling, guys. Okay, that's already been decided. Okay, this is what we're going through. Well, the same thing with the defensive blitzes and stuff. That defensive coordinator has got to have it. What's he going to? You may have to go back 5, 6, 7 games but find that situation and make sure you are ready for it.
Okay, Coach. So you got the gotta have it game planning by coordinators, both sides of the ball. But let's talk about the players. What is the gotta have it for an offensive lineman to be an all-pro in the NFL?
Well, gotta have it in that situation, or gotta have it to want to be the best. You know what I mean? Because I've been around some of the best guys. You know, the Anthony Munoz, Joe Thomas, Olin Kruetz. The one thing that those guys have that some of the other guys didn't is their passion to play the game and not let that they were not afraid to fail. Those guys were not afraid to fail, and their preparation was unbelievable. I mean, Joe Thomas, and Anthony, right from the first day, Anthony, for 11 years plus, he came in and took notes when he started as a rookie, and then 11 years later, when he comes to the meetings, he'd still take notes. He'd still take notes, even though he's probably heard it, right, 1,000 times. He still writes it down, right? Joe Thomas is one of the best prepared football players that I ever been around. He gets a 3x5 card or a 5x7 card. He gets these little note cards, and he writes down the play and the defense, and he writes down what the defense can do to him in this formation, and then he flips it over, right? And he's got all the answers that what he needs to do, or how he's going to handle this. Okay, with technique-wise, with line calls, right? He does that in all plays. Okay, he's got a whole mess of note cards in front of him when he's preparing during the week on his table. But it was amazing. Those are the guys. Now, don't get me wrong. They've got ability to play the game. But the mental side of the game, the 80% of the game is mental. 20% is the schemes and the techniques that all the coaches chase. And we're really guilty about doing that. Chasing the 20% instead of staying on the 80%, the communication part of the game, which I'm getting them to understand. Those guys that do that and prepare like that, those guys usually go a long way in the profession. Olin Kruetz was amazing. He knew how to read the coverages better than some of the quarterbacks we had. I remember him come to the line of scrimmage, and one of the quarterbacks, would go to Olin, and he'd go, "Olin, am I all right here?" "Oh, yeah, you're fine." You know what I mean? So, because the quarterback didn't want to mess with it. You know what I mean? He just wanted to know from Olin, "Am I protected?" And Olin would tell him, "Yeah, you're okay." So those are the guys, that usually stay around longer. They keep them. They block the right guys. They go to the right people. They make very, very few missed assignment breakdowns. Now, the talent that they have, okay, they use it. They use it right to the utmost ability that they have to use every ounce of it. Okay? They don't take anything for granted. They don't say, "Oh, yeah, I know that." No. They make sure what they know, what they're going to do, and how they're going to handle it is going to fit. Those are the guys that usually go a long way. The guys that make the mental assignment breakdown errors, and they keep making them, and they keep getting penalties, those are the guys that are going to get you in trouble. Those guys will get you in trouble. And you want their mindset. Most of the guys, the big-time guys, their mindset, they were in growth mindsets. And what I mean by that, okay, if they mess something up, the first thing they ask themselves, okay, how did I mess that up? Okay, what did I do wrong? How am I going to get this right? How am I going to fix it? How am I going to do this better? Right, those guys are in that mindset all the time. Some of the other guys, they make a mistake, right, and they're in a fixed mindset, all right, and they go, "Oh, I didn't hear the line call. I didn't see the safeties. I didn't hear the quarterback." Right? There was too much crowd noise. They're throwing somebody else in the bus. It's somebody else's problem, not theirs. Those guys are going to get you fired. They're going to be a problem. So you're going to get guys, right, that are in that mindset. You're going to give them over to the growth mindset. Most of the great players are in a growth mindset. When they mess something up and they know they messed it up, right, they take responsibility for it and they fix it. So I see that to be one of the greatest differences between the really good players and the players that just become average kind of guys.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, you've coached with a lot of really good coaches over the years. Who's the guy that is kind of the bell cow in terms of culture, vision, getting the most out of his players, winning, developing his players, developing his coaches, and fun to work for?
Sam Weiss was really, really good at getting the kids. The kids liked to play for Sam. They really did. Okay? Sam was far ahead of his time with offensive concepts and stuff, and the auto offense and all that stuff. Like all this stuff they're coming around today with, Sam did it way back in the 80s. Right? I think he had the ability, okay, to get things to do, get the kids to do things, okay, even though they didn't like it, he got them to do them and like it. Right? And he did things that were, sometimes during practice, practice would stop and the gates would open and an ice cream truck would drive on the field.
Just fun stuff.
You know what I mean? The fun stuff, And then one day, another day during practice, and the gates open and a truck comes out there with watermelons. You know what I mean? And the players stop, we eat some watermelon, and we go back to work. I mean, they like that. Players don't care. I really believe this wholeheartedly. And Sam was the same way. Players don't care how much you know. They really don't care. Players care how much you care. How much do you care about them as players? Okay, that's what they want to know. Not because they're football players. How much you care about them as people. And then, the players, the playing ability comes into effect. Okay, but how much do you care about them as people first? And Sam understood that. Sam did a really good job of understanding that. When he went around the office the night before he went home, he made sure we were okay. Some guys work late, some guys leave early. It doesn't matter as long as you get your work done. Okay, and he'd come in and sit down. Everything okay? Not a problem? He'd give his credit card to some of the quality control guys because they don't get paid a lot of money. So Sam would give him his credit card. Say, hey, guys, go off to eat. Put it on my card. Don't worry about it. Just give me the card back. And he'd do that. Take your wives out to eat. Take your girlfriends out to eat. You know what I mean? That always impressed me. He had really good knowledge about the game, but the way he handled the team, okay, as people first, was really outstanding. You know what I mean? And, I talked with Al Saunders. I'm real close with Al Saunders. And he said that Dick Vermeer was outstanding in the same way. He said he had the ability to handle the team, and the players loved playing for him because he showed the players emotionally, how much he cared about them as people. You know what I mean? He did things. They'd have, Thursday night cookout night, and he'd invite all the offensive linemen to come over and have burgers at his house. Or, you know what I mean? He'd say, okay, well, all the wives are going to come over. You guys, I don't even want to talk to you guys. So he'd bring all the wives over, and he'd have a little cookout with the wives. And, he'd do those type of things, okay? Those are the guys you like to coach for. Those are the guys that when you come into the parking lot to go to work, right there, you're not going to come into the parking lot and say, this is going to be another day where there's going to be a bludgeon going on inside the building somewhere, right? That didn't happen, right? Yeah. He was that kind of guy. He was good like that. Dick Duran, we won some games up in Chicago, but Dick Duran was basically the same way. Dick Duran cared about, he showed the players how much he cared about them. You know what I mean? So you like working for those guys, okay? You will lay it out, you lay it on the line for those guys. You work longer, you work harder, you do whatever you need to do for those type of guys. The guys that belittle you, the guys that knock you down all the time, the guys that insult you, okay, it's hard to come to work, okay, because the game's tough enough as it is. And you got to have thick skin. Everybody knows that, okay? But there's a point in time where you also have to be treated like normal human beings. You know what I mean? So the head coaches that figure that out usually kind of hang around a while. I think John Harbaugh, is one of those type of guys. I worked with John at the University of Cincinnati. He was a running back special teams coach for us. And the way he handled his players, the way he handled the special teams, and, he's handling his team that he has now, same way. The guys like playing for John. The coaches like coming to work for John. I understand that the guy over in Indianapolis, was it Frank Wright?
Yep.
Howard Mudd's over there. And Howard's telling me you would really like working for this guy. this guy is really good to work for. You know what I mean? So they don't have to go through the little Napoleon syndromes that some guys have. You know what I mean? And you find guys that when you try to answer your question back at the beginning, you find guys that you enjoy coming to work for. Win or lose the game, okay? You're going to enjoy coming back in, trying to figure out the mistakes, trying to get it right, making it work. You know what I mean? You like going to work. There's some other guys, you drive into the parking lot and you know that once you get in, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle from the time you get to the offensive meeting or from the team coaches meeting to the, you know, from the full coaches meeting to the offensive meeting to, you know what I mean? And you don't want it to be like that. You just want to come to work together and get it fixed. Make it go right. You know what I mean? Whatever the best way to do it that way. You know what I mean? There's going to be enough credit for everybody if you win. Everybody's going to get enough credit if you win.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Pro Mindset. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. 5 stars, of course. You can follow us on our website, ProMindsetPodcast.com, or on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pro Mindset Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you the next time.